Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to go over how you can make a heck ton of gil with just purely solo content. Now that we're at level 90, things are even easier to solo, and I'll go over soloing extremes, raids, dungeons, and more. So with that being said, let's get into it. But before I do get into the video, I do want to make a few points that I've noticed throughout making this video. First off, Red Mage, Paladin, and Warrior and Sage are the best solo classes in my opinion. All of these, you have a lot of self-heal and a good amount of damage as well. Of course, you don't need these, but it is important to be as efficient as possible when you're farming content because you want to kill the boss as fast as possible and you definitely don't want to be dying. Second of all, I do recommend having food. Potions are not needed, and having at least crafted gear. Now, of course, the better your gear is, the better you're going to clear, and of course, we're aiming for efficiency. I cleared all of these things with just artifact gear. It wasn't very fast, but now I'm clearing in this video with a mixture of crafted gear and gear from the Pandemonium raids as well. I also have food. Sometimes I forgot to pop it. I still cleared in a good enough amount of time, but it really only matters for the more recent raids. Well, as recent as you can get with this list, which is Heavensward. It is really important to be efficient here because these raids still, you don't do as much damage as you would with the A Realm Reborn trials and raid. Next is with these mats, you can make a good amount of gil alone, but of course taking these and crafting with them will make you an even more amount of gil, which I will of course go over what you can craft with each of these items that I will list. And speaking of lists, I'll have the boss drops listed in a list for Teamcraft down below, so if you want to go and check, see how things are on your market board, I really recommend to do so. Lastly, all of these are RNG, and my RNG will be different than yours. You may be luckier or unluckier, but of course I will list a few ways to increase your RNG, whether that would be with coffers, with totems, and with the synthesis. Now you can finally go into the video and start extreme farming. So for extremes, I'll list how many times you can run per 10 minutes and how much profit you can make per 10. So of course, first off is the Bowl of Embers Extreme. You can do each pull within 30 seconds, and you could do 20 runs per 10 minutes, which is pretty good. The trick to having such a quick kill time is killing it before the nails, otherwise you're going to have around a 50-second kill time. But it's not that bad. 30 seconds up to just barely a minute is pretty darn good. Now we can go see what we can get. First off is the Ifrit's Horn at 5k, and next is the Infernal Horn for 3k. Now of course, it is RNG whether or not you can get this, but it is pretty good. And let's say you get one or the other once every pull, you can get 60k per 10 up to 50k per 10. Now, of course, every time you do get a weapon, of course, you synthesize it, you can also get a demi-materia of the Inferno. Now, of course, it is RNG from the desynthesis. I'm not going to count this in, but this is also another good source of profit. Next up is the Naval Extreme. It takes up to a minute due to Titan's phase changes, but it is still pretty good. Only 1 minute for a kill. You can do 10 runs per 10 minutes. And with Titan, you can get the Crag Heart. So within 10 minutes, you can make up to 30k. And of course, don't forget about the synthesis. The demi-materia of the crags is up to 1k per each one you get. So 30k per 10 minutes, not as good as the other one, but it is still pretty decent. Next up is the Whirl Eater Extreme. This is the longest one out of everything in the A Realm Reborn trials. It takes 2 minutes per clear due to how much the phase goes, but the item you get, Barb of the Whirl, sells for a good amount and quite often as well. So per 10 minutes, you can do 5 runs and get up to 35k within those runs. Now, when you do get a weapon coffer, try to open it on a paladin. You will get 2 items when you would otherwise get 1 weapon from any other class. You will get a shield and a sword, which paladin needs of course, and now you have 2 separate things to desynthesize and have twice the chance at a item. So if you're really lucky, you can get a paladin weapon drop. So a sword and a shield, you have 2 times to desynthesize, and then to get the weapon coffer, 2 more times to desynthesize, plus the boss kill, that's 5 times to drop a boss material. And of course, it's not just a Realm Reborn, this is all the way till Endwalker, so of course keep this in mind when you're farming. Next up is the Striking Tree Extreme. It takes 1 minute per kill. Of course, just keep an eye on the ads. Don't attack Ramu when he's invulnerable. If you can kill them off super quick, you could probably get less than a minute. But being generous, since I hate these invulnerable phases, I'll just leave it at a minute. So with a minute per, you can do 10 clears in 10 minutes. And how much can you get? So you can get up to 30k in 10 minutes. And don't forget to desynthesize as well and open up those coffers. So of course I do say up to 30k, but it's not counting how many more extra you can get. This is purely if you just drop 1 per each kill. Next up is Shiva. 1 run takes me 1 minute, so 10 per 10. But the diamond prices actually dropped like crazy on my server just last night. It is usually around 4k, so if I see something like this, I would go and buy out all the way to the original price. But as you can see, they sell for quite a lot and also quite frequently. So 10 per 10, you can make up to 20k with this current price, but with the usual price, you can get up to 40k. Next up is the Thorn March Extreme. Now it is a little bit different. This is not directly a boss drop, since the Kingly Whisker doesn't sell for much on my server, but once you desynthesize the item, the necklace that you do get, you can get a Demi Mug Materia, which sells for up to and around 40k. And 1 clear of Thorn March Extreme takes less than a minute, so if you are lucky and get a Demi Materia every time, which of course you can get either 1 Demi Materia up to 3 Demi Materias within 1 desynthesis, you can make a lot. Now, since there is so much RNG into play there, I can't really give you a direct number, but if you get 1 every other pull, you can make up to 200k per 10 minutes. Now this is really good for a Realm Reborn trial, but of course you need your desynthesis leveled up. Not that high, of course, it is a Realm Reborn item, but it definitely helps. Next up is Heavensward. Now the first extreme trial is the Minstrel's Ballad, Nidhogg's Rage. It takes me 3 minutes to kill this fully, and you have a chance of 1 to 3 scales per clear. So with Nidhogg, you have 3 chances to desynthesize and get a scale via the weapon that drops and the paladin set that you get from the coffer. Now with this current price of the scale, it usually is around 4k, but I'll stick with the 2.7 that it is right now. With 3 minutes per run, per 10, you can do 3 runs, so you can make from 8k gil to 24k gil. It of course really depends on your RNG, but it's not so bad. Now finally, the real meat and potatoes here, the Containment Bay Z1T9, aka Zervin Extreme. You can make so much from soloing this trial. It takes me up to 2 to 3 minutes per run. Now 2 to 3 really varies whether or not you can skip ad phase or not. If you can skip ad phase, it takes 2 minutes. If you can't, then it takes 3 minutes. Either way, I'll just go with the 3 minutes because it is a very tight DPS check there. So 3 minutes per run, you can do 3 per 10, and you have a chance of 1 to 3 Zervanite carapaces per run via desynthesizing the weapon and desynthesizing from the paladin coffer. So within 10 minutes, you can make up to 150k to 450k. That is a lot per 10 minutes of soloing. That's only 10 minutes. In an hour, just times that by 6 and you're making a lot. Now, of course, the carapace sell a little bit slowly, but we can use this and craft some crazy expensive weapons. My favorite to craft is the Edge of the Demon. It sells for a steady 200k per each, and that only takes 1 carapace. So of course, this is probably the best soloing instance you could probably do right now, and I highly recommend it. And before I move on off of extremes, I do recommend at least doing Susano Extreme with 2 people, I can't do it alone. You have to have someone hold the sword and kill the sword at the same time. You can't do both. So I highly recommend it if you have one other person. You can go in solo for a pretty good amount. Now it is around 40k right now, but of course these Susanna weapons have yet to be made into crafting weapons. You can store these up and save them for whenever they come out, and they will probably jump up to around 1,000,000 in regards to the past boss drops for crafted weapons. So just wanted to add that in before I move on. Now we can move on to soloing dungeons. The first dungeon is St. Lucian's Arbitorium. On hard mode, it is level 70 and it takes me around 10 minutes to kill it from start to finish. Now what can you get from this dungeon? You can get the Verdant Partition. Now a chance every 10 minutes to make 100k is pretty good. For me, from 5 runs, I got 3 partitions, which is not bad at all. It is quite good. But of course, if you have 2 people, you can do this way faster. Probably you could cut this time in about half. So for 10 minutes, if you get a verdant partition every single time, you can make up to 1,000,000. But more realistically, I think the drop chance is around 30 to 50%, but even if you make half of that, it is still very good. But again, this is all RNG. 50% one run and 50% the next run doesn't mean you'll get it 100% next time. It just really depends how lucky you are. The next dungeon is the Airy, and you only have to do the first boss. Now you can get up to this boss in around a minute or less. It is very fast, and what you can get from it is the Lesser Panda. Now, the drop chance is quite low, but within 10 minutes, you can dash at it 10 times, but you definitely won't get it first try, but this is pretty viable in regards to how quick you can get to the first boss. Next up is the Hullbreaker Isle on hard mode. Now, this takes me around 2 minutes to kill the first boss, and you need the first boss only due to that boss is just really annoying. You have a whole lot of ads that you have to kill separately, but the minion that you can get from it is the Calamari. Now this is going for 70k, but it can go up to 200k, but it is pretty good since it only takes 2 minutes to get to the first boss and kill it. But of course RNG is a factor here, so keep that in mind when you're farming it. And the last and final section is Old Raids. Now I will say Old Raids, but it is actually Old Raid. The other raids from the coils are not really viable because the Aether Stones are actually so cheap. But the turn 2 final coil Bahamut is actually pretty darn good at this moment. At 12k, it is pretty good. I bought them at 8k. If I looked over all of my servers on my data center, the average is 12k at the moment, and 8k was cheapest, so I went and bought them. But you can get up to 2 to 3 and 1 drop. So this is really good. This is not counting desynthesizing. It can just drop 2 to 3 stones per 1 kill. Now, of course, it does take 4 minutes and 20 seconds for me to get to the boss and kill it. But a trick to just figure out how to get there fast, just either go left, 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 and then once you get to the area which you can't go further, just unalive yourself, go back to the start, go right, 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 kill that side, stand on the panel, and then you can access the boss solo. Once you figure out the layout, you can get a lot quicker and you can do a lot more runs within 10 minutes. But for now, I'm just going to stick with 2 runs per 10 minutes. You can get from 24k if you just drop 1 Neo Aether Stone leg gear piece, up to 72k if you drop 3 per each run. That's pretty good per 10 minutes, and I really do recommend this. But of course, I recommend taking this and crafting with it. This sells for around 200k. Now this can go up to 500k if I just buy out this person here, but let's say it's just 200k. You can take that 12k into just 10 times it, just like that. So that's for the Dreadworm Tonman of Healing, but the casting one sells for even more, so I really recommend taking these and crafting with it. Or just skipping the solo content and just going ahead and crafting it is also perfectly viable. But of course, this is a solo content video, and this is of course a great way to make a ton of gil per 10 minutes. So that's how you can make a heck ton of gil by farming old extremes, dungeons, or raid. I hope this can help you out if you are a mainly solo player, and especially from someone who used to play a heck ton of WoW. Soloing old content is kind of nostalgic for me because it was something I would do all the time. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video can help you out with your gil making, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much to everyone that supports me on Twitch, Discord, and YouTube. You all keep the channel going. Thank you to everyone that is supporting me via the YouTube memberships. That is totally crazy. I hope to get some awesome and fresh content out for you guys very soon. And if you would like to hang out with me via streams, I stream on Twitch and YouTube every Monday and Friday, GMT +3, 5 p.m. So I hope to see you there. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.